correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome back to the How We Roll Gaming podcast, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Nick, I hope you are doing well. And Robert is back.
Yes, I
Welcome
am.
back, Robert.
Welcome
Glad
back.
to be back.
Robert has
You
been on
see the-
assignment for a couple episodes.
Yes.
And you banished the dark corridor from your home.
Yeah, it's called summer.
Yep, as we talk, when the sun goes down, the darkness will encroach once
Yes.
again. I wish I had spooky
Unless we
music.
end at like 11, it's not going to get that dark because, summer.
True. So, before we get into everything, Free RPG Day was last weekend as we record this.
And we got some
Yay.
goodies.
We got some goodies. I know that Nick didn't go anywhere. Did you go anywhere for Free RPG Day, Robert?
Nah, I had stuff to do.
I was actually able to get everything that I wanted to. Oh, that's right. You had that's why we did the movie last Saturday instead of a game.
I had a wedding and a birthday party on Saturday.
Oh, geez.
Well, wedding
So-
Friday, party Saturday.
I was actually able to get everything that I really wanted to get on my first stop for Free RPG Day. Or, well, I thought I did because the first store that I went to only ordered one kit. And because one of his regular players runs Avatar Legends, there was only one set of the Avatar Legends stuff per kit. And so he gave him that. And so I got everything else that I wanted to get. I got the Marvel Multiverse Secret Wars expansion preview. I got the Arkham Horror quick start that Edge did this year. Got the Dungeons and Kittens quick start that they did. Got a Vampire the Masquerade. Renegade actually didn't do an Essence 20 this year.
This is
So-
weird. Like, yeah.
And got everything that I wanted to on my first
That
stop.
was-
But still made a
that was a
second
big thing
stop
on-
because
That was a big thing on the Essence 20 Discord. They were like confused. Like, they usually have one.
yeah,
that was
who
odd.
knows? So I went to another store to see about getting the Avatar stuff for both me and Nick, and got 3 of the 5 that they had, because what they had listed on the site was a bundle of 5 quick starts. And so managed to get 3 of them for each of us. And I got home, and as I was heading home, I was like, these titles sound familiar. And I got home and I checked, and the adventures that they put out for Free RPG Day singly this year were the adventures that are in the adventure book that was part of the Kickstarter and the initial release. So I was like, oh, I already have this.
And I guess it's kind of fair because they already printed them. But it's like, it's not really what, considering the last time was an original adventure.
Yeah, and they just released digitally a new quick start in the past month or so.
Mm-hmm.
A new free quick start. So, I was expecting a physical copy of that to be their Free RPG Day entry this year. But hey,
I guess they
what
sort
you
of-
gonna do?
I guess they sort of monopolized on the fact that they already had something to print out already, so they printed it.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Either way,
it would have saved
if it
me an
helps
hour's
enough to brand,
drive if I'd known. Would have saved an hour's round trip drive if I'd known. But oh well.
Mhm.
Oh well. it did end up, since every time I go to a store for free RPG day or free comic book day for that matter, I make sure that I make a purchase so that I'm not just going in and saying, give me free stuff and walking out. And so I ended up with the latest Legend of the Five Rings source book, which, Robert, you got a few months ago, but I haven't been able to find since I pointed you to it when our local store
Yeah, I was
had
lucky
it.
And
that Magnus had it.
I sent an image to you, to Robert, but just today I received the Night City 2045 for
Yeah.
Cyberpunk Red.
I don't think they've shipped
It
mine
just
yet,
came
or
out
I'll have to
today,
check.
and
I speaking
it's a
of
very lovely book, very very
I
high
don't
quality.
I don't disbelieve that. Telsorian's always good with their books.
The artwork
speaking of
already is like
shipping,
it looks lovely.
I got an update in Kickstarter just a week or two ago that Free League is going to be shipping the Invincible RPG here within
Uh,
the next few weeks, and I've been
that's
seeing
what I heard
ads
that too.
that the street date is July 30th.
Oh
So
really?
e-
So within the
every
month.
time every time I see a notification from our Ring doorbell camera, I'm like, are they dropping off a box? Is it Invincible?
Oh,
Because
well, you understand it if you look at your doorbell and you just see a blue screen. And it just a blood spatter happens.
yes. Well, I mean, yes, I haven't gotten a shipping notification yet from Free League, but we didn't get shipping notifications for Alien Evolved Edition, and one day suddenly, boom, there's books on your doorstep.
Oh no, that means they're gonna do the Onion train thing where they announce your book.
Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that was free RPG day in a nutshell, and what I'm expecting to ship. And I I'm hoping that I am able to pre-order, like you did, Nick, the um, new Alien campaign box that's coming out, but
Oh yeah,
just don't have the cash right now, so
and also
don't have the extra cash.
we're recording this on the third, so to those who will see this, we'll be in the Happy Birthday America 250.
Yep,
Yes,
big old 250.
yes, and I will not go off on the tangent that I want to go off on.
That's all we have to say.
So
And
instead of going off on that tangent, I'm just going to say that if you're into video games and love hearing people really dig into what makes them tick, check out We Fix Games, part of the D20 Radio Network.
each episode hosts Laura and Jerica. Jerica?
Yes.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Flora and Jerica, you're
Yes.
Okay.
correct.
Yeah. Take a game and break it down. What works, what doesn't, and what they change before rebuilding it in their own creative way. It's thoughtful, funny, and full of sharp game design conversation.
Whether you're a player, a designer, or just someone who loves talking about games long after you've put that controller down, We Fix Games is a great listen. Find it whenever you go get your podcasts.
Yep.
My
Now,
apology. I have dyslexia, so I was like, Jerica. I didn't want to mispronounce Jerica, but I have dyslexia, so I was like, am I seeing it wrong?
Nah,
no, you
you're
were not
good.
seeing
You're
it wrong.
good.
Okay.
Now, before we jump into this episode's topic, we're introducing a brand new feature here on the How We Roll Gaming podcast called
Mm-hmm.
Anatomy of a Campaign. So over all of our episodes to date, we've talked about a lot of our home campaigns on the show. And sometimes it's examples, sometimes they're cautionary tales, and sometimes because we just couldn't resist telling a good story. We thought it
There's
was time
nitpicks,
to,
there's brand new ideas.
yeah. So we thought it was time to dedicate an entire episodes or dedicate several entire episodes to looking at how those campaigns came together.
hmm And
It's your turn, Nick.
in each, I was about to say, I
You're
was
the
about to
red,
speak.
Nick.
I was literally about to speak. In each Anatomy of the
Okay.
Campaign episode, we'll pick one campaign and break it down from the first spark of the idea to what actually happened once the players get involved. We'll talk about the planning, the improvisation, the memorable moments, and the unexpected twists that no GM can see coming.
Now, the goal isn't to tell you this is the right way to run a campaign. Every table's different. Instead, we simply want to share what worked for us, what didn't, and hopefully give you some ideas you can adapt to for your own games.
Some of the campaigns we'll cover have already reached their finales. Others are still very much in progress. And we'll keep spoilers to a minimum whenever we can. And if we need to get into the weeds, we'll make sure to give you a heads up first.
Whether you're looking for inspiration for your next campaign, curious about the decisions that happen behind the GM screen, or you just enjoy hearing RPG war stories, this series is for you.
So, enough about the feature itself. Let's put today's campaign under the microscope and see what makes it tick.
This is our first Anatomy of a Campaign. So let's get rolling. Our
Mhm.
Yes,
very
and we
first campaign that we're going to talk about is going to be our Delta Green campaign, Impossible Landscapes, which is at least partially based upon a published campaign guide for Delta
yes,
Green.
and we chose to do this one since all three of us, Daryl, Nick, and I, run sessions in it. Most of our campaigns, actually, I think all our other campaigns, is either one or two of us. This one has all three.
And
Right.
it
And
is an
it's kind of a
ongoing.
unique structure. Yeah,
hmm
it is still ongoing and it's kind of a unique structure. Nick is running the actual main spine of
Yes,
the campaign. But the way that it's written and published is there are gaps of years and decades in between the major the major time periods of the campaign. So Robert and I tag team off of one another and we run kind of monster of the week sessions in between those major points that Nick runs, just saying what happens to the characters, highlighting some adventures that they have in those intervening years.
yes. For
Side
example,
stories with interesting and available parts, and I'm also a player in those parts.
yes,
Yeah,
whoever's not
if you want to draw
campaigning is playing.
yeah, and to kind of draw an example, if you the way I've always described Delta Green to people is it's the X-Files meets Cthulhu. That's a great elevator pitch to get people to get what it's about,
And
even
I
if
think
it's
we
not
had it. We
100%
had an
accurate.
episode describing Delta Green before.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
Yes,
And feel free to go check it out. There will
yes,
hmm
and then
be
come back.
a yes, there will be a card up here somewhere linking
That's
to
how
the
YouTube
episode.
works, I think.
Yes, on YouTube there will be a card. On audio there will be a link in the show notes. But
But this is
X
also a
Files,
very unique sort of version of a campaign in this setting.
right? But where I was going with that is X Files meets Cthulhu, and so if you look at X Files as an example, there were what became known as the mythology arcs that dealt with the government conspiracy and the impending alien invasion, and then there were the monster of the week episodes.
Yes,
And so that we're kind of borrowing that structure a little bit.
yes. because Delta Green is definitely X Files related in the sense of very few people know of the unnatural because they know if that just became public knowledge, everything would collapse. So their goal is to not beat it, because you can't beat it in Delta Green, but maybe we can push it off another decade or another century before everything just collapses.
So let's take a look at the idea to start with. So I would say what inspired this campaign, but since it's being played from the spine of a published campaign guide, Nick, why this campaign?
Why this campaign? This is a fascinating question. I've been a big fan of like the Lovecraftian and cosmic horror scene since I got into literature, and I actually have a literature major. But one of my first like loves was cosmic horror as a genre. Uh, Stephen King, and other like sort of like cosmic horror experts, and I sort of wanted to learn like the root of that. And I sort of like dug down into, and I found Robert Chambers's The King in Yellow,
Mm-hmm.
and I found it fascinating. It was before like Lovecraft and others. It was like the progenitor, and yet inspired them, and they kept on bringing it up in other fiction and elements, and I just always loved that, and that sort of helped get me into role playing games like the Call of Cthulhu games that eventually evolved into Delta Green. Talked about like the nature of the King in Yellow, Haster and the ideas of Dim Carcosa, and I found those brilliant and haunting. And one of those individuals that was instrumental in writing Delta Green eventually came back to the franchise in the modern era to write Impossible Landscapes, a unique, surreal horror version of The King in Yellow. Still in line with Lovecraftian horror, but distinct, unique, blending like the ideas of time and horror. And I supported them for a long time, and when it finally came out, I was like, this is what I want to run. I've been dreaming of running this for a long time.
All right, like it, like it.
Yeah.
Again,
And of
it's
Yeah.
it's
course,
it's so it is very much quintessential cosmic horror, but it also has a whole lot of unique surreal elements. It's not your usual like ew icky squid things.
yes, it's
It's more
more
like
existential.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And Act One of it, we'll talk about this in a little bit, I'm sure. Now kind of resonates with the pop culture entertainment phenomenon that's going on right now.
honestly, pop culture has caught up finally with The King in Yellow, and I appreciate it, and I'm glad that 'cause I've seen so many people that were like, "Yeah, I get it. You guys were inspired by it." I bet that some people are like attributing most of that to these new creators. And it's like, no, this again, The King in Yellow was written in the late 1800s, so this is not new, but it's like it's cool seeing new creators take such inspiration and come forward with it.
So we know now why you wanted to run this campaign. We kind of know what you were trying to deliver, what kind of experience you wanted to try to create with it. just because of inherently what it is. So let's take a look at building that campaign.
Mhm.
Uh, the heavy lifting was already done for you in the book.
Yes. It and again, this is building off of like this is the second. It doesn't call itself 2.0 of Delta Green, but it kind of is because the creators of it were working in like the 90s, and then that's why it is very much like X-Files meets Call it. They sort of lapsed for a while and then came back in the late 2019s. And this was published eventually. But it was
So,
always meant to nice idea of like it kind of was meant to like it was fun that they were like we're gonna take what we made initially and create a campaign that reflected the fact that we had to wait like several decades to make it together.
and so building the campaign out, though, when you sat us down for session zero, I'm going to lay most of the questions for the beginning stages of the campaign on you because Robert and I coming in to run the side sessions came up later. It kind of came
Yes,
up
it did.
as
Yeah.
we were discussing the structure. So
Mhm.
for session zero, what kind of character creation guidance did you give us, or would you give someone who's going to be running Impossible Landscapes?
I would give it the same as any campaign for Delta Green. You are you at this time period, but I would also say like this campaign is going to last decades. It is in terms of your character arc. Like you guys seized upon the idea of filling those areas, and we can get into that later. But what made it so in business was like I stated outright like we're starting in this year and it's going to go on for this many years. I didn't
And
say
just
when we are going to. Eventually, when we talked about like you guys filling in the gap years, did I tell when the years are going to happen? But you could also just be as just as ambiguous as say like I'm not going to tell you. But I did say like this is when it's happening and it's going to last decades.
and now conceivably, one could say that if you're just running the campaign as written, that you don't have to do those gap years. You could very easily just say that this group is brought together for Act One. They complete everything in Act One, and then they go their separate ways until Delta Green calls them back together again for the first time ever years later.
And this is entirely possible. Again, you guys are players in the game, and this Act Two has not happened
Right,
Yes,
yet.
right.
But
not
there
even
We're
close
is
to
in
ready
what
yet.
I've been calling the interludes.
Yes, because between
but I
Act
will
1 and
say
2, we have about 20 years.
but without spoiling anything, mechanically, yes, we could have just skipped and have the characters called back, which would fit
But
within the lore and the storytelling.
here's where Robert and I come in. In session zero, when you're giving us that time frame, and when we do our little prologue session at the end of our session zero day, and then session one, we all start talking that we all really like our
Yes.
characters that we're
And we were just
playing.
like, wait, I want to know what happens to them in that interlude.
Yeah, we want to know what happens in that gap. So that's when we hit upon the idea because we both had ideas just in general for Delta Green sessions. but we didn't necessarily have an idea for a Delta Green campaign.
Exactly.
And so we're like, hey, we could work these session ideas that we have in as the interludes in between the acts. And you were gracious enough to say, yes, that, that's not going to derail what is going on with the main campaign. In fact, it's going to give you material to play with for the characters once we get to Act 2.
Yes, and as
And
you are the
beyond.
overarching GM of the thing, you also sprinkle in your own little main campaign stuff in those interludes.
I've been both either subtle or not so subtle, sending in like actual like seeds that would be important later on. You
Yeah, I
don't know what
mean,
they mean.
Yeah, in one of the interludes, my own character got their invitation in one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Again, it's a
like
case of you don't know what they mean. And I've constantly told you, like, if characters go, you get, to those who don't know about Delta Green and Call of Cthulhu mechanics, you can go insane. I have
you
made it
absolutely can.
abundantly clear that characters who go insane will be important later on because the campaign has built-in mechanics for that.
Yes, and judging by how some of our interludes have gone, some are getting closer and closer to that all the time.
That's just the nature of Delta Green in general, but it's like,
Yes,
but I will
I mean
say that
even
the ideas, but I've made certain that, like, I said, like, yes, if a character goes crazy, they won't be gone because there's a way to bring them back in the campaign. I just
yes,
can't tell you that because that's spoilers.
of course, and we've totally accepted that.
Yeah. Now,
I think you
before
said
we
even
move,
if we die, you have ways to do it.
Yes.
now, before we move on from the building the campaign section, one of the things that we're going to talk about in other episodes of this is prep before session 1 or session 0, as it were, since we do a little prologue. And Nick, I want you to tell everyone about one of the fun things that you did for us, because you know us as players and the
Yes, what
kind
did
of
you
things that
do?
we like to do. What'd you get us, Nick?
I got you guys some special stuff.
What'd you get us, Nick?
Yeah, come on, don't leave them in suspense.
Honestly, I feel like you should tell them what you got.
So Nick went and got a big cork board
Yes, he did,
and push pins
and string.
and different colors of string so that we could make our own conspiracy board.
And we
And
did.
And I printed
as
out
each
all the clues and all the information they needed to. They also had note cards of different colors, so they
Which
were
we
able to,
used
like,
to write down answers and put them on said cork.
and they made sure that each different color corresponded to a different spot. Oh, it was
Yep.
you.
If I remember,
I
black was anything unnatural, like this
yeah.
doesn't fit. And then I think yellow was like interview stuff.
And you were connecting them with different colored string. Oh, it was again like
we
I already had.
we
I already
love having the
had
cork board.
the corkboard was like the easiest part was getting the corkboard. The hardest part was like getting like the enough like colored string.
You got a lot, so I don't think we're gonna run out.
Yeah,
No, we actually are. I need to recover the more string.
well, and anyone who's listened for a little while has probably picked up that we're big on props and tactile things like that. And us having that cork board, we are like kids in a candy store.
And
We are giddy as school children whenever we're playing with that cork board.
Yeah, and that
honestly,
cork
the only
board
reason it
inspired
worked.
Daryl and I, like, well, we got to have our own props when we run our sessions.
Well, the only reason that it worked for me was like I spent the time to like print out a lot of like little pieces of information, like different like newspaper articles and stuff for that, like so that you guys can pin it up for that case. And it's like I had to cut out some of that with like with scissors. Was like it was worth it to see you guys like pinned it up. There's like desk goes there, and then like connecting it to that, and then putting up like the hotel floor plan, and then connecting it everyone to the floor plan.
Well, what I really liked what you
It,
did, Nick, is you either typed out or printed out like an actual like dossier at the beginning to be like, this is what we got. Go find out.
that was the only thing I had to print out myself because it was the only thing that wasn't again like we're connect. There's a Patreon from the writer of this Delta Green Adventure, and he provides a lot of amazing things that you can like download. That was the only thing I wasn't able to download. I had to write that up myself, and I formatted it in the same way that he did, and then printed it out and then cut it out. So like that,
Let
it was one of the few things that I didn't have to do a whole lot of work for. But it's like I was happy that you guys enjoyed that. That made sure
Oh,
it
we
looked like
did.
oh yes.
it looked like a actual like newspaper cutout. I actually went through two versions of it. I tried to like I do like a plaster of Paris like fake newspaper on it, but it's like it didn't look right. So I just cut it out on regular paper. But you guys liked it. That was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we get that it's not always possible to have authentic materials for the props. We get it. We
Again,
get it. You know, get
I did try. Like I when there was like the phone number stapled onto one of like the one of the fake IDs, like you guys called that out really immediately. It's like that was the point. It's like that was really cool.
yeah, I mean, like I say, we know that you're not going to be able to, if it's a newspaper clipping, you're not going to be able to print it out on newsprint. We get that.
Yeah, and we're not expecting that.
No, but I'll admit that I part of being a good proper mystery is like I kept the music in tune for the time. I tried to keep everything like regular. I even like made sure that I knew what the weather was. Like, it was like 1996 in the fall. I made sure I knew what the weather was.
So that's all kind of a good segue into talking about actually running the campaign. And here's where this in the next section of the anatomy of a campaign outline that we have is where all three of us can
Yes.
can dive in. So let's talk about running the campaign. So how is everything actually unfolding? I know that Nick, you've done Act 1 of Impossible Landscapes as written, and you've also done one or two of the interludes.
I've done two interludes and Impossible Landscapes. Part of the generosity of Impossible Landscapes is there's a lot of leeway, allowing for character interaction.
And I think that's one of the things that we love the most about this campaign as players is there's a lot of character interaction And there's also some really spooky crap going on.
Oh, again, I would love to reveal more, but I can't because all of that, it all, it's for to use.
No,
It's not timed,
no,
but it's like when it eventually comes around, I think you guys will really appreciate like some of the weird stuff that I did that didn't seem to add up.
well, and I mean, we get that there's not going to be spoilers on things that haven't happened yet. We totally get that. For instance, um, the book itself is not currently in print, apparently,
Mm-hmm.
and I stumbled across, not knowing that it was a full campaign guide. Right as we were starting the campaign, I stumbled across a copy. Those watching on YouTube can see that I have it right here. But I stumbled across a copy of it at Half Price Books, and I was like, oh, I should get this, not knowing that it was the campaign guide. And when I got home with it and told you that I got it, you're like, don't read it. I
Yep,
was like,
and I haven't. I made sure to keep that promise.
Oh,
yeah, I
again,
haven't.
but also this in general, if you can, it it's very hard to find one of these. So if you can, just buy it.
Very true. I think I have a
Yeah,
PDF.
that,
I don't have a physical copy.
yeah, I mean, that's what you said. When I told you that I got it, I was like, well, I mean, I can return it because
Uh,
I had totally been debating buying it that night because even though it was at Half Price Books, because it's out of print and in demand, it was full price.
like I was
It,
like, no, 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 no. I told you immediately, like, buy it. Don't read
yeah,
it.
you're like, no,
Buy
no,
it
no, no, keep it. You just can't read ahead. And I was like, I won't read ahead.
because because it is an actual rare piece. Like it's worth it because
Yeah, so
it's also a well printed. Well, again, like you won't know that we finished the campaign, but it's a well written, well produced campaign book. But it's like you hold on to a very valuable piece of book.
yes, yes. Um, Now let's talk a little bit about the beginning of the campaign, though. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of teased this a little bit, and if we're going to be talking about some of
It's
the
the most I
details,
can talk about.
yeah, well, and for anyone out there who might run it in the future or who might play it in the future,
Spoilers.
yeah, we have River Song chiming in
Mhm.
because we're about to give some spoilers,
Spoilers.
but kind of what happened in Act One.
Do you want to give your impression, or do you want me to be like fully candid? Because it would be interesting to hear your impressions.
No, go ahead and give yours. Of course, you leave out anything that we overlooked that could come back to haunt us later.
Yeah, simply what happened.
All right. So Act One is known as the Night Floors. Better known as Operation Alice. An individual by the name of Abigail Wright went missing at a New York brownstone apartment owned as sort of a hippy dippy artsy fartsy commune. She disappeared, and it's a disappearing appearance case, but she may have something to do with the unnatural. Calls in a team to investigate.
A motley team.
A motley
Yes.
team, and they enter into this classical brownstone apartment in the middle of New York City. And upon entering her apartment, they find that it is a mess of many, many things strewn across the walls, stapled, literary pieces, pieces of technology, etc., etc. No trace of her, as well as some very unusual and very quirky neighbors inside of there. And then nighttime happens, and everything flips upside down. Suddenly, this three-story building becomes infinite. There's no way to escape, and there's a whole lot of new rooms to explore. Feel free to give any sort of your recollections of that.
I really liked how day and night the guests would, or like the residents of the place would flip, kind of. Like one time we had a very polite person we were interviewing, and then once it flipped, he was like reclusive, paranoid, and rude. There was a clown painting that I remember. That's when Stephanie got onto you, or Daryl got onto you about it, since Steph's afraid of clowns.
Mhm.
And then I liked walking outside, and we could see like the building is 3 stories, and then no, it looks like a skyscraper, but like only we could see it.
Yep, and the night rooms
Oh
when
yeah.
we got into them, that kind of expanded. It was kind of and I gotta say, when I first heard about the movie The Backrooms, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like things like surreal horror and sort of it's a mix of analog and the idea of like liminal spaces has become really popular. But it really did start with like things like with like the King in Yellow stuff and the night rooms. But it's all part of that, which is fascinating.
Oh yeah, it was. Um,
Again, I brought in a whole lot of different ideas. Like if contributor to the channel, Betsy was here. She recognized when I talked about like the yellow wallpaper, which is a classic horror story from the early Victorian era. Like there's a lot of stuff that I've played with.
oh yeah,
And definitely like the night rooms with the
yep.
flip on how each of our characters reacted. Daryl's author character just fell right into recognizing the cliches and not following them. My priest
And
character just kind
yeah,
of walked in faith and actually did not get attacked in the night rooms because he never touched the statues in the statue room.
the statue room was probably like I was pretty sure you would if I was it was like a pretty hard time that you were probably going to incur a problem with the statue room.
That's why I did not touch them.
But
I
that's
I
why
don't care if they
I
looked
was
at me funny. I'm not touching them.
Yeah, my writer was far too genre savvy, and it ended up getting him kicked out of the night rooms for a bit.
but
Yes.
only
Yeah, we had to get you
after
back in.
you were forcibly given a ticket.
Well, and I forced myself back into the night rooms because I realized with all of the weirdness that was going on, I could and there was a lot of stuff going on with meta narrative and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, so that I was able to write myself back into the night rooms.
But again,
Yeah.
is like again like the idea of especially the Delta Green version of the King in Yellow is very metatextual, and that's part of the horror. It's like it's not contained to just even its own reality. The narrative is the horror.
Yes, and then in the night room's opening area, there's forget his name. I think his name was Mark or something. He's a guy from the 1920s, and like a guy from the 1920s, he had opinions. And I think my character was the only one that was polite to him. So
But he was definitely seen like he is firmly from the 1920s, and it's like time seemed to be a factor.
well, it's also I think I liked him a little bit because he's that archetype of someone who's too afraid to go forward or back because of what would happen, so he just stays.
Yeah. Yeah, he stayed where he was, didn't want to leave the night rooms. He just the welcoming area was kind of a bar, so he just stayed there.
Yep, didn't want to leave. He
And we
Nick
we
joked
had
that
two
he takes the
characters.
bathroom in that room. Don't go in that room.
We had two characters that also didn't accept the concept of the supernatural, the sort of Scullys of our X-File team, and they had the worst experience, and they were trying to just like get out of there.
Nope, didn't work. They kept getting stuck in place. The other thing that the night rooms reminded me of was I kept making Twin Peaks references,
And again,
both
it's
in and out
also
of character.
oh no, it's also a reference to Twin Peaks.
It was very much like, especially in the original series finale, when Cooper got stuck in the Black Lodge. When Cooper was in the Black Lodge and he would run down one hallway, go through a curtain, and he's back in the hallway
Again,
and
it's
was doubling back without intending to double back. And
a lot of those ideas do go back to Robert Chambers in the late 1800s is King in Yellow. He was kind of the progenitor of a lot of these ideas. And these have all been sort of like proliferated. And yes, H.P. Lovecraft aped off of those and built a great deal more better like understanding of that. But it all goes back to that. He is like one of the OGs of like surreal horror.
and one of the things that kind of helps Robert and I in doing our interludes is that the characters developed a bond, sometimes intentionally, sometimes circumstantially, uh, by being in this circumstance together. And so I can see how it, like we were saying earlier, if characters didn't make that connection, how it would be easy to jump from act 1 to act 2 directly.
Yeah,
But our
but
characters did make
it
those
would it would lack
connections.
it would lack impact.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
just like, oh, we're back together again. I haven't seen you in 20 years. Hey.
If you
But
didn't
the characters
connect
created
during these
bonds
times.
and yeah, the characters created bonds and friendships that have been growing through the interludes too.
Yes,
And part of that is because you did this will be a put in the spoiler here.
Oh, you need River Song talking again?
Spoilers.
Act 1 you don't solve the case. You did solve the case.
Nope.
But the idea was that you experienced something incredibly unnatural and that you couldn't solve it. And
very unnatural.
and then Delta Green said like, done. You get out of here.
Yep.
Yeah,
And we of course have those players that are like, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna be that guy that keeps this investigation going in the back.
But again, like in in the actual lore, like Delta Green falls apart, so you don't even have the ability to like reinvestigate. You don't know what happened. So it's always, but you guys are connected. You know each other, and we've through these adventures, we've had these subsequent adventures. Yeah, I've been with each other, but in the back of your mind, it's like, what happened to Operation Alice?
Well, and just having those connections, and like I said, Robert and I having ideas for Delta Green sessions, even if we didn't have ideas for a campaign, led us to doing the interludes. So, like, what kind of ideas did you have for yours, Robert?
For mine, I went with kind of an off-topic thing that I saw. I think it's related to like Nepalese Buddhism or something.
Yeah.
But I decided to go through that and kind of create my own kind of mini campaign that I'm going to plan to do. We've already done the first part with the one shot I did in the year, I think 1996. And then in the
Yeah.
next part, we're actually going to go out of America and I'm going to put them in Spain, which is going to be fun.
Ooh.
But it's going to keep building and building until kind of the penultimate climax in here to be like, yeah, sure, the King Yell is the overarching thing, but as we all know in Delta Green, there's not only one cosmic core, there are several, and they are not working together. So I decided to create my own kind of cosmic core that they're going to have to delay over time.
Yep.
Which I
Mine is
feel
all
is fair,
about
right? And the
kind
fact
of
is, I don't.
existentialism as well.
And my fact is, like, I am not going to involve it as well because, well, as the quote unquote big bad, as the one running the campaign, it's like, regardless if you succeed or fail, like, you will not be the threat.
Exactly. The whole thing about Delta Green is that you're always on the back
They
foot,
could,
even if you have
they,
government funding.
they could succeed, or I could intervene. I haven't decided yet, but like, regardless, the real threat is technically the campaign I'm running.
Yeah.
Yes, and then there are certain years that Daryl and I have been like, okay, we're gonna collab. Like a certain year where a
Yeah.
certain event happens that we're gonna collab on that.
Yep. And like, I had an
I will say
idea
that
for.
I have intervened a few times with giving small parts, but I've
Yeah, and we
been
love that.
strategic with them.
Yep.
And
And like,
then
I
Nick,
had. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Nick
Mhm.
did his own like interlude after Act One, just kind of set the tone, and we got to have a fun little thing playing against Slenderman. And you can
Oh,
put spoilers
so,
here as well, Daryl.
Spoilers.
The whole interlude was basically what happens if idiots find ancient cosmic magic and just abuse it, not knowing what they're
again,
doing. Because Nick
again,
lighted the invert of everyone assumes whoever gets this knows what they're doing. What if they don't?
that I've always wanted to do that as an adventure. It's like, I was like, fine, that's a fun like interludes. Like, what if a bunch of like dumb golf kids are like, hey, let's do this, and then they just completely fuck it up.
It was fun because I think both my priest character and Daryl's author character was just like, we were like, that's not how you know. That's stupid. You're stupid.
If
Which was the point.
if it were set years enough later for this to have
oh,
if it were set years enough later for this to have been a thing, we would have been saying, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Pretty much. I was like, you tried to bargain with the devil? That never goes well.
you bargained with two different devils, and now the devils are both coming here to you. And now
Yes,
they're
I was
fighting.
like, you idiots. You didn't even make the gold you wanted.
Again,
And-
that was honestly, I love how it was like the situation solved itself, but you guys got to watch it as like, oh god, oh man, that went horribly wrong.
Well,
But they did it themselves.
and for my part, I had this idea just thinking about Delta Green period that Well, what if Y2K, the problem wasn't necessarily the computers? What if there was some cosmic horror that, you know, the Y2K bug was basically a an inadvertent ritual to summon
And
some
that was
cosmic
fun.
horror?
That was a fun session.
Yes, because in Delta Green, they can make math equations cosmic entities.
I mean, Nick is already
Just as
scared
I
enough of
know,
math.
I was right.
Nick is already scared enough of math.
Mapping.
So, yeah, Nick and X Files math. So that was just fun. I have an idea for another one that I don't so much have the idea for the story itself for the session. I have an idea for a twist that takes
Daryl,
place during the
I have
session.
to remind you about Renegade 20. Just make sure that you don't do the thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yes, and I found at least when
I
I
made
ran
that
my
mistake before. That's why they made a special blurb about me.
No,
yes,
what
and
were you saying, Robert?
I said when I played my interlude, I actually followed Delta Green's kind of like framework on how to create it, which we all found actually works very well. Because I think either you, Nick, or somebody else was like, "How did you set this up?" Like it flowed really well, and I was like, "I just used their thing, and
Oh yeah,
it
it's
worked."
actually
Because
it's actually a pretty well done system.
yeah, the only thing that I knew was going to happen is like the minute I introduced the child character, everyone was going to be like, "Yeah, she's something." Because I was just like, "Well, I still like it," but I knew you guys were going to be jumped like, "What's wrong with this child?"
Well, it's because my character's media savvy.
Yeah,
He's genre savvy.
And everyone seems to see it's seems like everyone thinks about like something's weird about Arya the rabbit.
It's because she's evil.
she's evil, very evil.
You're
She's
all
sus.
completely
She's
wrong.
totally sus.
I mean, I could have made her just an innocent child, but no, she was the monster at the end.
You didn't want to subvert the expectations.
No, I
Yeah,
mean
like
honestly,
like
she
like
didn't. She technically didn't do anything. It was all her father, but still.
Yeah,
like
see,
you know, I'm telling
like I
you,
say, I
like
have an idea for a twist that will happen, and I need a story to build around that twist. I need to not be like some movie directors and just say the twist is enough. I need to come up with a story that befits that twist and can lead to it and lead out of it to be the rest of the story rather than just saying, how about that twist? Huh?
Yeah.
so
I'll tell you
you
something that
go
did change from the original plan for mine was the town I used did have an old like drug smuggling problem, which you guys really focused on to the point was like that went way further than I thought it would
oh
because
yeah
then you started like
we did we were looking into that a bit too much.
yeah, and I was just like, and I kind of stoned. I was like, I didn't plan this far. This was entirely a red herring.
That's unfortunately the red herring can be
Start to run into that. Didn't I start to run into that with part one of our Delta Green Gamer Nation Con game where we did the
yes
play test? All of you started
yes.
going down the drug smuggling route.
Yeah, I think you were. It was like maybe they're doing some ritual to make this town free of drugs, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, again, I think we were really like, well, drugs have to be involved. There has to be drugs involved. And then we were
It was
like,
Ooh,
involved tangentially because he found them at like AA meetings, but
oh, I just had another idea for a potential
oh, again,
interlude.
it, oh, again, we can save this, but like, this would be a good time to talk about our special game at the convention because there were so many
No,
people
no,
that
no.
did
We can
not pick up on.
we can do a separate
under that.
episode on that. We're talking about
Yeah,
this campaign.
that can be
I just
anatomy
No,
of a
that's
convention later.
what I'm saying. Like that
I
there are so many people like that went the wrong direction.
I do, I have an idea for another potential interlude or just a Delta Green standalone one shot that is also kind of another media tie-in. And
I
that
do
is,
think that we should. Oh, what do you have?
so what if saying the Blair Witch Project was a work of fiction was a cover story?
Oh, that's a good. Oh, that's good.
And they've even, whoever's covering it up even, found or made with via plastic surgery lookalikes for the cast to, that could be fun.
Oh, that's.
Anyway, back to the
Okay.
campaign that we're talking
You
about.
know what?
Yes.
Put that down. Put that right. Write that down. I want to. I want to explore that. That sounds good. That sounds fun.
You can write it down, Nick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't need to write it down. We just recorded it.
Oh
True.
yeah.
But going back to running the campaign,
Yep.
what were kind of favorite moments or biggest surprises so far?
Biggest surprises was how much you guys. Again, we don't have the whole can't have cast here, but all of your interactions with the night rooms and the ultimate cast was amazing.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of
Seeing
fun.
you, seeing you see how like the night rooms wasn't just like, oh, it's spooky and weird, but also like interacting with the night room residents who are kind of like opposites or sort of alternates.
I'll
The
say my
the amount of attention that you guys pay to the details, like be like, this is weird, this is wrong, but also confronting them during the daytime, etc. It's like you really played it. Honestly, it was the fact that you guys played it fully as investigators that I loved.
yeah, and I'll say I had three favorite parts. One was Daryl's character dealing with all the problems in the basement section with the paintings. That was fun.
Yeah,
Watching
that was great.
Lawrence's character avoid the spider in that weird web room was fun because it was like, oh, it's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer. And then just a personal favorite for my own character was when he dealt with one of those like robotic mannequin things, and he just rolled a really good unarmed combat check and literally just flipped it and broke it. So we now make the joke that Padres got hands.
Already got a hand. Honestly, like it should have been able to stab you.
It should have, but I went first.
Honestly, like
I think my favorite so far is the ability that, not necessarily knowing even from the pitch that you gave us for the campaign, and just I had the fun idea of coming up with a writer as a character, but the way that I've been able to lean into that aspect of him, because there was so much about meta narration, meta narrative, and things like that in Act One. That was just a lot of fun for me to play with. So
and
that
that
has been,
was mainly because again, if you don't know, I, I'm pretty sure you. And I hope you don't know more about the King in Yellow stuff, but like but it is about meta narrative and sort of growing with that. So like honestly, you sort of leaning into that just instinctually was fascinating.
Yeah, because I just thought that was a fun idea for the character. I was like, hey, what if you take kind of a more serious Rick Castle type of character who was as research for a book, he unintentionally got too close to the real Delta Green, and they came to him and was like, no, 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 you can't publish that. But if you don't publish that, we'll let you in.
Not only is that great for Delta Green, but also like is like an incredibly potent,
It's a great
not a
story engine.
counter, but it's a good story engine to wrap into a meta narrative known as the King in Yellow. So like it is fascinating that I've been trying to work with.
Well,
And
and
it's
it
been
also,
happy to work with.
I also thought that, if he's a successful writer, which he is, then that allows some resources for him. And it also allows him the freedom to go to any of the locations that we have to go to. He doesn't have to worry about, like a 9 to 5 accounting job or something. It, he
Yes.
can he can just up and go.
Yeah, and I made my priest character as he's literally works for the Vatican, and the Vatican, I think in real life, has their own like exorcist wing with all the dark
Yeah.
artifacts and everything. So I just said, hey, they probably know about the unnatural too, and they kind of ally with Delta Green and other places sometimes, so they lend out their people.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
have to
and
worry. You'll always be part of the narrative.
and I want to say that, one of the bullet points that we have for the structure for Anatomy of a Campaign is things that changed from the original plan. I
Mhm.
think one of the biggest things that changed from the original plan is us jumping in to
Yes,
do
very
the
much so.
interludes.
That was never the intention. It's like, but welcome. And that it creates stronger character developments. And I do have means by which, like, again, Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green have instances where characters will perish or be removed from the narrative. I have means by which to use such characters, so they will not be gone. And I've made that clear.
That's not ominous at all, is it? Not ominous.
Again, that's not meant to. I've also made sure this never meant to like. That's in terms of the characters that are being played during your sessions. I can bring them back in a way of some type.
Now let's start taking a little peek behind the screen. So what kind of
Yep.
prep process do we all go through for these? Nick's probably going to have slightly more intensive prep because he's
He's
got
got
to,
that to worry about.
yeah.
I am printing a lot of material, printing a lot of maps, ideas. I actually am adapting things to have new materials I can use with. But in general, I'm still using the same materials to create maps and images for future sessions.
All right.
Yeah, I'll say for myself, like I said already, I look into the Delta Green type of thing, how they split everything off between hook, case, red herrings, unnatural moments, and kind of build it that way so that once I kind of know, okay, now that we're here, I can jump to here. I also
Corkboard.
decide,
Oh, sorry, I forgot the corkboard.
And with the corkboard, I also printed out my own little props here and there, like pictures,
Nice.
portraits. Like, if you guys remember, I brought in that manila folder to be like, here's everything, figure it out. And
And
at least from what you
I'll
guys
probably.
said, it worked pretty well.
Oh, it looked. It would look great.
Yeah. And then the horror moments, I fully admitted I'm not really, I don't feel I'm pretty good at simulating horror, but with the unnatural moments, you guys at least reciprocated, like, it was okay.
Yeah. Uh,
And
may, not to be rude, but uh, a thesaurus is really good with like finding like unique like descriptive verbs.
and for me, I just
Finding like something like that makes it feel like really squishy and scary.
and for me, I did like I do for most games, regardless of system. I knew what my premise was and just kind of built out from there. I didn't so much follow the Delta Green tools because not because it didn't necessarily apply, but I felt like putting that Y2K veneer on it kind of tonally at least steered away from the cosmic horror that it was underneath.
I'd
So
agree.
I
Like
was I was
for what
focusing
what you did,
more
like you did
on
it way better.
as we're counting down to midnight because there was a literal ticking clock
Yeah.
that was happening here.
Yeah.
And sometimes that clock ticked backwards.
Yes, it did.
Uh, but because there was that literal ticking clock, I was focused more on okay, what happens if they have or have not done this by 10:30 and that kind of thing. So I was focused more on that than the normal Delta Green structure, whereas my next interlude will probably be helped a lot by the Delta Green document because it will be more of a traditional supernatural Delta Green cosmic horror as opposed to we screwed up and when we made this computer system we're accidentally summoning an ancient one or something. We're summoning something. But nobody, even those of the few of you who actually remember any of that happening, you don't even know what it really was. You know the name that it was given within the system.
Yep, I think I was crazy at that time, so I don't know.
And
Yes.
there what and even you were like given like a specific government government name for it.
Yep.
Yes.
And I Robert kind of touched on this bullet point for one of his, but balancing prep versus improv.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because in your session there was a moment where you had to do that because at the power station, Betsy and I just went crazy and broke everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, uh, I should have known this would happen because who am I? Who are our players? I know you all well enough, but I didn't figure
Oh,
it into a
Betsy going
blackout.
crazy.
No, I went crazy just with her. I was like, okay, this is somehow hurting these people, so we need to break everything.
What kind of lessons have we all learned running this game?
Definitely for myself is don't be afraid when something
None of us,
goes somewhere you didn't expect.
none of us would be government agents.
Well, that's already a given, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that I'm on plenty of lists that would prevent that anyway.
yeah. But for mine, it was just if they go off, do your best to improvise or let them tell the story, and you can be like, hey, that's interesting. I'll just put that there now.
Yeah,
I guess on that same same work. I'm gonna do the Macarena on the nearest computer system.
And now let's take a look at where the campaign stands. So far, and I'm going to primarily direct this to Nick because you're the one that kicked the whole thing off. So, how's the campaign met or exceeded expectations?
It's going better than anticipated, but not how anticipated. That is a fun way of saying that.
Yeah, I'll agree with Nick in saying that we are going towards the grain of what he wanted.
Yeah.
I have no idea when we are going to reach Act 2.
Yeah, I mean,
But I am
as
in
long as
no,
we keep
but I am
coming
in
up
no
with
way, but I am in no way asking you guys to rocket to Act 2.
I was about to say, as long as we keep coming up with interlude ideas to fill in the gaps, and you are willing to let us do that, that's great. If we ever reach a point where you say, okay, I really want to get to Act 2 now, all you have to do is let us know, and,
we haven't
it's
reached
time
that
for Act
point.
2, baby.
It hasn't reached that point, but when it does, I'll let you guys know. Because I feel that you guys have at least a couple more sessions in the bag.
Yep. So what advice would you give someone wanting to run Impossible Landscapes itself or a similar campaign?
I'll divert to Nick first, since he's actually running the book.
That is actually interesting, because I've actually seen at least 2 Impossible Landscapes and 3 canceled ones. The idea is like patience. The idea is that this is meant to be a long-term campaign.
I would say so, looking at the size of the book.
You need to trust your players, and you need to accept that they are going to do essentially things outside of the campaign in order to continue their characters, and possibly characters will perish. But there are ways and means within the actual text to reincorporate lost characters. But if you want to run the full campaign, my opinion is like you need dedicated characters, dedicated players. It's a long-term story, and it is not kind. It is not easy. It's gonna test them.
Are we dedicated players, or are we committed players, as in we should be committed?
Daryl, Robert, you are the type of characters that are necessary to make it to the end. And that is honestly a special class of character to players.
Yes, thank you, Nick.
And that's what I'm saying. Unlike it is Impossible Landscapes is a incredible campaign, but it is not for the faint of heart and not for the easily dissuaded. And you have both taken on extra on your own, extra work to help make the campaign better.
We try.
Yeah, we definitely try.
So I was like, it's a hard campaign, and the fact that you are willing to go with me on this campaign journey, I am honored, and it is difficult.
How about you, Robert?
For me, it kind of goes back to what I believe we said before in another episode, is that most core rulebooks, especially GM rulebooks, will give you a framework on how you can make your own original one-shots or sessions. So I would definitely recommend doing it, even if you don't follow the structure Exactly. It can give you an idea on how to frame it, which can then help you on how to run it once you have your characters. And like I said before, don't be afraid if it goes off what you've expected. Simply improvise, work with your party, and get them back to the, or kind of flow it to where it still focuses on your main topic, and you'll have a fun time.
Yeah, I would say just, know and trust your players. And as a player, know and trust your GM, because it can be a grueling in terms of subject matter campaign, but if you're all on the same page and all good with it, it is a lot of fun. It's because it's very challenging. It's a challenging campaign, and it's a challenging type of campaign, both to play and to run.
Honestly,
But
it's the
it's been
most
well worth it.
challenging campaign, and I'm glad I have two individuals to help me take up some of the smaller parts. Because once we get into Act Two, it's gonna be really, really heavy.
Yes.
Now, without going into spoilers, what are you most excited about going forward with the campaign?
How my character and the rest of the characters get their own issues and go insane.
I'm kind of looking for, so just as part of my character's backstory,
Are
I
you talking
I
about impossible landscapes? Because like, I'm interested to hear like what you want to see going forward.
well, I'm talking about, with my character, as part of his backstory, I had created an actress girlfriend just to be, one of his
Uh-huh.
touchstones. But the more I've let that percolate in the background, I'm kind of looking forward to how that whole subplot can impact the character going forward, because we've already talked that since the time is going to pass, there's going to be, whether it happens in a session or not, there's going to be a wedding, and he's going to ask
Yes.
Robert's character to officiate.
Mm-hmm.
But once, how is that going to impact, because you're not supposed to read anybody in on Delta Green,
Mm-hmm.
but so far, as far as I can remember, my character is the only one that has any kind of significant other. And he deals with fictional flights of fancy and supernatural things on the daily as his job. So, you know, is he going to be able to read her in? And even if he doesn't say, "Oh, it's all real," he's like, "Oh yeah, I have this idea for a story," and relate what just happened. And if so, how is, if they find out, how is Delta Green going to react to this?
Simply tell
I
her
bet
you're in a book club.
book club. I write the books. Oh, and I'm also looking forward to getting the characters combination bar and bookstore open.
Oh yeah, Daryl's character really focused on a bookstore in the first act because they staple pages.
Yep, yep.
I
Well, no, he stapled price tags to the covers, and just that will not do. He is my arch nemesis now. And when he went back, that bookstore was gone.
Yes, and you. It would be interesting with your wife,
I
especially as Nick says. Over the time, Delta Green kind of collapses, so there's not really much enforcement
Yeah,
during that time.
yeah.
Daryl, Robert, I know what I need to do.
Oh,
Do
No, that's not ominous at all.
feel free to bully me.
Okay,
now that-
yeah, I mean, that takes the fun out, but
Squirrel!
here, how's that?
Yeah.
Well, I know what we can say. I mean, we're gonna have a nice little grill out tomorrow for Independence Day, and we're thankful that Nick finally learned that hamburgers and hot dogs need condiments.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I did the condiments.
Now, did you get the chips?
Yes, multiple times the chips.
Okay, good, good. How about fireworks?
And then,
The city of Addison's going to have that taken care of. We'll get to watch Kaboom Town from
Yeah.
Nick's house. I know from having worked
Because
nearby
they
that it's a great
because
view
they
of Kaboom Town.
and they due to the change of my backyard, they completely moved like most of the trees. So we're gonna get a view of Kaboom Town for actual
That's
times.
good. That's good. That's
Yay!
good.
Wait, am I? Oh, I'm countering you. Oh. What do you got next? What do you got next?
Next, we'll just say head over to howwerollgaming.com, your central hub for everything How We Roll Gaming. You'll find details on our current campaigns, including Impossible Landscapes, our full podcast archive, plus quick links to our merch store and all our social channels so you can stay connected wherever you hang out online. And speaking of that merch store, as of July 1st, our latest t-shirt design is up and live, inspired by one of my favorite audio clips that I run.
They shenaned once, they'll shenan again.
The new
Yeah.
shirt
Yeah.
The new shirt says, "We shenaned once, we will shenan again." So head on out there and buy your "We Will Shenan Again" t-shirt so that you can also shenan again at your table.
Yes, and if you're looking to support the show directly, the best way is through Patreon at patreon.com/howwerollgaming. We've got membership tiers starting at just $2 a month, with perks ranging from special recognition in our Discord community to on-air credits and exclusive discounts in the merch store, so you can get your shenanigans shirt. And while you're supporting us, you can also help the show at no extra cost by using our drive-through RPG affiliate link when picking up your next tabletop goodies.
And finally, we want to hear from you. Got questions? Want us to tackle? Topics you want us to see on the show? Or a legendary RPG glory story you want to share? Drop us a line at podcast@howwerollgaming.com. We read everything, and your message might just end up on the show.
So thanks for listening, and remember, however you play, make it legendary, and we'll catch you next time. I'm Daryl,
I'm Nick.
And I'm Robert.
and this is How We Roll.